Well, things have escalated in the contractual buyout of Brian Kelly from LSU. We have the latest right here. Reminder though, if you would hit the subscribe button and spread the word, it's free. It doesn't cost anything. No one is going to call you, try to sell you anything. We're just trying to grow our audience here. So if you would hit the subscribe button, check us out. Also, if you want to, check me out at LandryFootball.com. Well, more than 2 weeks after Brian Kelly was fired by LSU, the two sides are continuing to argue over the amount of his contractual buyout. We're going to get into the minutia. You know the details by now. Kelly was under contract to 2031 and do a buyout of more than $53 million under the terms of the deal because he was fired without cause. When he was terminated a couple of weeks ago, he was told, and it was in writing, that it was not for cause. So the people that are coming out saying, well, they ought to fire him because he didn't work hard enough, legally, LSU would have had to put in firing with cause and given 7-day response to Brian Kelly. They did not do that. So LSU is seeking to pay a lesser amount. In the end, we told you about how this might play out. We told you that LSU would probably offer two payments of $15 million. $15 million now, $15 million in 3 months. A total of $30 million. That was rejected by Kelly's representatives. Now, what I think is going to happen is certainly the threat, and let me just give you the update of what Brian Kelly representatives sent in a letter to LSU. Their attorneys have set a 5 p.m. deadline for Monday, November 10th, to fulfill its contractual obligations and agree in writing to pay the full amount. However, he did say in that letter that he's still willing to negotiate and willing to listen to offers, but he's already rejected $30 million. So what this tells me, based on experiences, he wants more than $30 million. So I don't think he wants to go to court. I've told you before, it takes a lot of legal costs for him. It takes legal costs for LSU. And you always run the risk if you go to court that you might lose. Also, the big thing is if it goes to court, there's discovery involved. And there are probably a lot of things that either side do not want to come public. So I do think that this is going to be another offer by LSU. Initially, they looked at it $25 million, then $30 million in 2 installments. I think this is a negotiating ploy, threaten legal action. LSU could call his bluff, take them to court, and go down that road. I just told you the reasons why that wouldn't work. Let me also tell you that it's a bad look for LSU as they're in the middle of a coaching search to give the opinion that, well, they signed him to a contract. They didn't like the way he performed, so they don't want to pay him the remainder of it. It's not how it works, and I know a lot of folks, LSU fans, will be frustrated. Well, he didn't work hard. I'm frustrated. He didn't work hard enough. They did not fire him for cause. You have to have cause, and it is outlined. I've read his contract. I've looked at his contracts right here. I've read all of it. Okay, and it lists everything that's for cause. There was nothing in there that they reported as cause, and by law, they had to put it in writing at the time of termination. They did not do that. So it is really no way that I can see legally. Lawyers, I'm not a lawyer, someone may disagree with this. But if there is a way to sue for cause at this point, it certainly would not be something that's in the contract. So we shall see how LSU takes it. My guess is they'll offer a little bit more. They'll come to a negotiating table, and I think it's going to come down to maybe a different offer. Now, you might say, well, if you're Brian Kelly, why would he take a penny less? Again, let me explain to you why might he do that. I'm not saying he will. I'm not saying he won't. He can wait to get his money in monthly installments of at around $800,000 a month. You know, if it goes to court, by the way, everything is just stops until the court settlement. He doesn't want that. So does he want to wait for the next few years to get his monthly payout of $800,000 and have that be reduced by any job that he takes in football? He could do that. Or, as I said, he could take a lump sum or a couple of lump sums where he can take that money, he can invest that money, and that money, if you invest it correctly, will probably make more money than the entire amount over time. Now, you got tax implications, I get all that. But you also, LSU would take out the mitigation. So he could go ahead and take another job and not have to pay anything back. So you get more. And I think that makes a lot more sense for Kelly to take a lump sum in one or two installments. They're just negotiating. This is what that letter was, is to get LSU back to the negotiating table. Both sides know that neither one want to take this to court. It doesn't help either one of them to take it to court. And I think we're going to see more negotiations. And in the end, we'll see how it plays out in terms of that amount. That's how I see it happening. We'll keep you up to date on the latest on what happens, LSU's response. But remember to keep it here. Hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss any of our football content. We appreciate you joining us. Talk to you again next time.